Good morning. Welcome to another exciting episode of College Coffee Talk. As we say here on Long Island, although that sounds more like my wife than me, I'm Andy Lockwood. Hope you are enjoying a nice hot adult beverage. I'm trying to come up with a signature move. I don't really have one at this point. So, College Coffee Talk is an opportunity to ask me or listen to the answer to a question of the day. So, over the last 2+ years, Pearl and I, when we do our presentations, sometimes Pearl shows up. We do either webinars or live presentations like I did last night in Greenlawn at the Harborfield Public Library. We get all kinds of questions, and I don't always get enough opportunity to answer them. So I have an arsenal of 2.5 years or whatever of questions to answer, and I'm attempting to do them each day on College Coffee Talk. So please let me know if you are enjoying these, if you find these valuable. I've started to get a bunch of nice comments from people that are trickling in, so I love reading them. If you have questions, I will respond. You can look through the post on this page, and you'll see that I actually do that. So if you have a question, this is a great place to get it answered. No strings attached at all. So last night I did this presentation at the library, and we collect these evaluation forms. And I haven't gone through all of them yet, but one of the things that we ask on the evaluation form is what's been getting in the way of creating a college plan for you, and what information was missing. How can we improve our workshop? So I got a couple of questions about, please talk about scholarships, and a lot of questions like, kids are stressed, I don't have enough time, no clue where to start. So that was from John, from Bill, and from Nane, I think. Felix says we have a plan, so that's good. And Tracy, anxiety and overwhelm. So I've only looked at a few. I'm going to go through the rest of these today and reach out to everyone who attended the workshop last night. But I want to talk to you about how to overcome college overwhelm. And first off, I can't promise you that what I'm going to say in the next 3 minutes is going to cure it entirely. But I can tell you that the way that you reduce it is by coming up with a plan. It's by not putting your head in the sand anymore, or leaving your head in the sand anymore. It's by removing it, prying it out, and coming up with a strategic plan. And the next part is you have to implement that plan. So it's one thing to have all these, crazy or maybe not so crazy ideas floating around, but if you, like, I'm going to take the ACT 6 times, and I'm going to study 50 hours a week for it, and all that, but if you don't implement that plan or some semblance of that plan, all that's going to happen is you're going to become more and more anxious and overwhelmed, because the college train, I talked about this last night actually, this whole process, the college timeline, it happens whether or not you're ready. So if you've been, again, procrastinating since in utero, and it's not so easy to break that habit after 15, 16 years of blowing things off. So I understand that. But the college process is like a train which arrives in the station on schedule and leaves on schedule and doesn't care whether or not you are ready. That's the big issue. Ready emotionally, I should say. So you've got to come to grips with that and take steps. So here I'll just outline some of the steps that not only do we do with our own son. We have 4 kids. He's our oldest and getting into most of the colleges that he applied to. And this is what I recommend to our clients. So the first thing is to focus on not so much the 4 years of college, which is what guidance counselors do, to be frank, but it's really more about the 40 years after college. Like, why are you going? And you may be thinking, well, I'm not really sure how my son can possibly, or my daughter can possibly figure out what the hell they want to do the rest of their lives. That's really not the point, because 80% of kids change majors no matter what they choose. So what our process involves, and you can do this on your own for sure, but if you want our help, of course, I'm happy to chat with you about it as long as we have the capacity. What we do is we first say, okay, forget about the 4 years, let's talk about what's next. Let's do an online strength finding assessment. We use something called the Birkman, which is with an I, B-I-R-K-M-A-N. There's Myers-Briggs. There's the thing in Naviance that sometimes kids do in 10th grade, which I believe is Myers-Briggs based. There's Kolbe, K-O-L-B-E. There's all sorts of other strength finding types of assessments, which I think are good in a limited way. And the reason I say limited is because in the absence of having someone qualified to interpret those results, it can be pretty goofy. So I've seen kids literally tell me, yeah, I took this the thing in high school and told me I should be a farmer. You know, this is a kid who lives in like Queens, or you know, astronaut, park attendant, you know, that type of thing. So don't discount it entirely. What you have to do is either on your own or with the help of someone coaching you, understand the reasons why behind that lie behind those types of fields. Why, you know, so being a farmer might be ideal for someone who is good at working on long-term projects all by themselves, and, you know, sort of in isolation, and doesn't need an environment where other people are motivating him or her to get up really early in the morning, go spend a few hours plowing or milking or whatever farmers do, like I would know, right? So that's really the first step. The next step is then looking at that, what we call wiring, you know, how you present yourself in one of these assessments, and then understanding what that could translate into in terms of a place in the world. So what do I mean by that? There's all sorts of careers and majors that lead to these careers that may match up with wiring, but not all of them are in fields that, for example, the Bureau of Labor Statistics would predict to be in growth mode. So the trick is to think about, again, meshing your wiring with careers that are in growth mode. So that's the next step. The third step is saying, okay, let's look at, you know, not the one thing, but maybe 3 or 4 types of careers and majors, and backward plan into a set of colleges that are reputable in those majors. And let's see, so that's really, you know, a pretty long process, because that involves not just, you know, winnowing down a list of potentially 4,000 colleges down to maybe a couple of hundred, but then it becomes an issue of adding other factors like big, small, medium, East Coast, West Coast, all those other types of things. So that's the third phase. And the fourth phase is getting in. How do you get in to these colleges? What do you need to do to distinguish yourself from, you know, the other 5,000 or whatever applicants who have virtually the same grades and the same scores as you do? And then the last part is for many people, not everyone, but for many people is, well, what can we do to get funded? How can we get scholarships? How can we possibly get need-based financial aid and all that? So those are the 5 steps for a college plan that we believe. And again, I know that this is not universally accepted. Guidance counselors, you know, again, certainly, I'm not bashing them, but they're certainly not equipped to think this way, or they don't understand the nuances of financial aid and scholarships, because that's way outside the scope of what they do. But that's something that we do. So and then the rest of it is, you know, what else? Just managing the whole process. Like, when am I going to do the essays? When am I going to do the applications? When am I going to schedule college visits? Who am I going to speak to? Et cetera, et cetera. So that is, in a nutshell, that's how you alleviate and hopefully come close to eliminating college stress and anxiety. That's the best way to do it, in my opinion. So that's all I got for you today on College Coffee Talk. Have a great weekend. Please, please, please like, comment, and share if you found this valuable. Hopefully you know a bunch of other parents who need this information. I'm sure you do. Most people know at least 4 or 5. And if you want some more information about other freebies that we're doing, like the workshops that I mentioned that we did last night, we had about 50 people show up. I'm speaking later this month in Garden City on March 29th, I believe, and that is posted on our website, collegeplanningGuru.com. And if you, we still have a few spots left for tomorrow's open house, which is at our offices, and that's not really a seminar. It's really more about people who have talked to us in the past who are interested in working with us, just an informal way to stop by and meet me, to talk about college planning and getting into college and being strategic, to meet Pearl, who does all the financial aid forms, and she can talk to you about that process, and to meet Marissa, our ACT and SAT tutor that we recently just partnered with about a month ago, and we are now offering those services. So thanks a lot for watching. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.